Hello friends and welcome. Patch 7.39D came out, so we're going to do a quick summary of it. The major changes, of which there aren't really many. It's a pretty minor patch leading into TI, but Quartero's Curios also came out, completely unexpected, but it's just a free way to win sets over time. You really don't have to do much. When you win a game, you're going to get 650 XP, 250 for losses, unless you're playing Turbo, in which case it's going to be 425 and then 175, and then every 1000 XP, you get a level. So for Witch Doctor, you need to get up to level 10. Then we go over to Vengeful Spirit. You'll get this at 12, 14, 16, 18. And then Legion Commander at level 30, which there is a second style. It's going to require you to max out at level 100, which at that point you would also get some event effects. So there's like Fountain Regen, Town Portal, Blinking, Leveling Up, Yule Scepter, Aghanim Scepter, Force Staff, Phase Boots, Mechanism, which I don't think we've ever had, or maybe I can't remember. So that's kind of new. And then the Radiance and Lotus Orb, which I think is also a new one here. I feel like I'm going to get a little confused with Ogre's Fire Shield. Hopefully it's not a big deal. I'm getting old. It's tough to see these things apart. And then some antiques, which are just like a random old set. And a chance at Immortal or Arcana. I don't see the chance anywhere here. Maybe when I get one. I'm going to guess it's a pretty small chance, to be fair, since this is all free. Supposedly this will last until November 5th. Frequently, these kind of things get extended, so we might have more time than that, but it also doesn't seem, no offense to anyone at Valve, it doesn't seem that hard to update the next thing. Like, you'll need some new witty lines, 3 new sets, maybe some new effects, but essentially if every 3 months, that's only 4 out the year, you could just cycle this through if they want to keep it. So if it does end up being a hard cutoff at November 5th, I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe there'll be a bit more time, but essentially you got 90 days to get all of these sets if you want them. Which, for those of you that are curious, here is the amount of games you will need to play on average, assuming like a 50% win rate, normal versus turbo for the different levels. Level 10 will get you all the Witch Doctor items, 18 for Vengeful Spirit, and level 30 for Legion Commander. Of course, if you want that tier 2 or all the effects, you're gonna need level 100, and that one seems a bit harder. I don't even know if I'm gonna get it, and I'm like a full-time content creator. So depending how much time you have, this one may not be feasible, which it kind of sucks, but also I think is fair. I mean, this is just totally free sets, so it'll be nice to get the basic items for free with just the the same old Dota playing you're doing anyways. Moving into the patch, all the biggest changes are pretty much on screen right now. Starting with the general changes, it's mostly just the terrain. First, it is the increased spawn boxes of the Triangle Ancient camps. Now, I'm not fully sure on the idea of this one. It just makes them really peepo wide. Let me actually just show you. So this is now the box. It's pretty big. I think the idea is that it'll make it harder to multi-stack these camps. As you get to like 3 stacks, they'll start bumping each other and won't make it out of the box as easily. I did a test stack at like 53, still works perfectly fine. You have tons of room. So I think the first few stacks, you really won't notice this, but after that, it might get a little trickier. It may also change up warding a little bit, since there's less room without accidentally blocking the camp if you're trying to put a sentry unnoticed or an observer. For this side, it's not that big of a deal. For the Dire camp, this one is more noticeable. Again, the same stacking tissue, but dewarding this camp is pretty common. Or sorry, dewarding this cliff is common. And in the past, you used to be able to put your observer like a little lower, which covered more of this area, less useless area like up here. But now that the camp's bigger, it's really about here. So there's going to be some wasted sentry space up there. And what I suspect will happen is that more people are going to be willing to put their sentries over here, which is on the low end of the cliff, still checking the cliff, but now checks this area instead, which I've been using this area for observers for quite a while now. It's just more likely to survive than putting it here. You can sneak your way in over here, drop it, and then get out. So I like that quite a lot. If they have an observer somewhere on this ledge, it often doesn't even see you coming in from this angle. And I think people might start checking for that more now, using this as opposed to this, since this camp got moved. But we'll see. The patch is brand new. The other map changes involve the pole camp. So if you didn't know, in the past, there was a spot where It was in between these two trees. If you just like moved your mouse slowly down in between the trees, you could actually place a sentry. It was a very sneaky spot. If you didn't know about it, there was no way to see it from out here. But if you knew about it, you could just move your mouse a little bit to the left of that spot and you would be able to place your sentry. But you had to have that information to know to go for that D ward. And then, you know, your sentry only has vision for so long. So maybe they come back, they put another one there. You wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even be able to see it. So it was a little unfair. I personally didn't mind it. But of course, that's because I know about the spot. For a lot of people, they're just running around like headless chickens trying to find it. So they removed that spot. But I do want to point out, if you use a quelling blade on this tree, you can still put a sentry in this back corner and you won't see it from out here. So just be a little careful of that, guys. People still might be using this spot. Check their inventories if they've got a quelling blade. It won't work with the tango. Let me just show you that. It won't work with the tango. So they have to have a quelling blade to use this corner spot. And up here, there also used to be some trees you could cut to plant a sentry in, and it was really difficult to find. That's gone now. What still exists, though, are a couple spots that the safe lane can cut, like here or up here, and then you put your sentry in there, making it extremely difficult to find while still dewarding the camp. Those are still in play, so if you're a position forward, be aware of that. I think that's fine, more so than like this spot here, just because the advantage goes to the safe lane, right? Like these tree cutting spots are good for the safe lane, and those are the guys that would use it. This camp blocking spot is good for the safe lane, but this is supposed to be the off lane's camp to some degree, you know? So it felt a little unfair. By the way, if you want the full read through and reactions of this patch, it is in the VODs of the channel. You just go to like the live tab and you can see it there. But for this one, these are just the quick summaries. Item changes, there is a lot of small nerfs here, just things like, you know, 10 attack range off the Dragon Lance, carry that over to the Hurricane Pike, 1 second extra cooldown on Glimmer Cape. So I'm not going to touch on all of them, but some notable ones. One of the biggest changes of the patch is the Blade Mail. So the damage goes down a little bit, whatever. It's this passive attack damage that is getting nerfed from 20 plus 20% to 10 plus 15%. So this is the damage where even if you hadn't activated Blade Mail, this was the damage you would reflect. Against heroes, it's not the end of the world, but of course losing the percentage of damage is the big thing there. I think the bigger nerf to this is the farming speed for the offlaners that would just tank creep camps or creep waves, and you know, over the course of like 5 attacks, those creeps would take 100 plus damage. So they'll still damage themselves, but it's practically half the amount, depending how much damage those creeps do, but it's not a lot of damage. So the percentage, which is, you know, the closest, that doesn't matter as much as the flat amount of reflected damage to the creeps. So Blade Mail as an active item, when you go fight and you pop Blade Mail and you reflect damage, that is still pretty good because the active component of Blade Mail didn't get touched. But the passive farming value of Blade Mail did go down. And that's why Blade Mail was so good for so many offlaners. One, they were naturally tanky, so they had a lot of reflected damage to do, the potential for that. But then, okay, I don't want to fight them, you know, they're too strong. Okay, they have a fighting item, right? So if we ignore them, that's good. Well, actually, I'll just farm with the Blade Mail really quickly, right? So it was making Blade Mail way too good of an item. So I think this is a really good nerf. I don't even know if it's fully going to change it, because it will still increase your farming speed, and the active component of it is still good for a lot of the early fights that do happen. This is the question mark to me. How big of an impact will this nerf have to the offlane pool? Because the best offlaners are like Dawnbreaker, Axe, Undying. In pubs, you probably see a lot of Legion commanders, right? Is these Blade Mail builders who get so much value out of it. From the mid lane, you have like Queen of Pain, Ember. They were building a lot of Blade Mails. So Blade Mail defined a lot of the meta heroes because they were the best Blade Mail builders. But many of those heroes are also just pretty good right now. So it was just like, here's a good hero with a good item. You nerf the item, but those heroes might still be good. So I'm actually not sure how big of a shift in the hero pool we will see. But if it is a big change, it'll be around this Blade Mail nerf. Heaven's Halberd is getting a small buff. I do expect to see it more, not just because of this buff, which is, you know, it's nice. It's not the, you know, craziest thing. It's more about the Blade Mail, because a lot of offlaners choose Vanguard or Blade Mail as their kind of like first item, bulk up, become hard to deal with. You don't usually get both, unless it's a really good Crimson Guard game, for example. Otherwise, you just get one. And so if Blade Mail is just better for most meta heroes, you weren't getting a lot of vanguards. And if you're not getting a lot of vanguards, you're not really going to get the Heaven's Halberd. So now that Blade Mail is nerfed, I think we might see more people move back towards the Vanguard, which means we'll now see the slightly buffed Heaven's Halberd a little bit more often. Maelstrom and Mjolnir lost their bonus damage to illusions. It used to do 150 bonus damage, so now it's just going to be like the regular damage to illusions. I don't know if that's enough to bring back illusion heroes, but it should help. Along with many of these other item changes are a nerf to early game items. That's usually where the illusion heroes struggled, because many of the illusion heroes like Naga and Phantom Lancer are much better as the game goes on, unless their team is losing, to all these early game items that they themselves don't build. So a combination of this stuff might bring some illusion heroes back, but we've been saying that for a while and it never seems to happen. Illusion heroes are still not the greatest at dealing with the current pro objectives of like Tormentor, Roshan being early. Those types of illusion heroes, besides like Terrorblade, aren't usually online fast enough to fight for that. So I think that's maybe the bigger thing holding them back. But people were exploring with Phantom Lancer even prior to this patch, so he is one we might see more. Naga Siren, not to spoil the patch, but probably not. Moving on, a lot of it is smaller changes. Pavis, 40 less mana. Nice, good for supports. We might see this a little bit more, considering like Glimmer's getting nerfed. I don't think this Phylactery and Conda is really doing it. We're slowly making back our way down to the original 6 seconds, and I think when it gets there, it'll be good. This is all small. Neutral item changes. Nothing too crazy here. The most surprising part for some people is that Sister Shroud is maybe not nerfed as heavily as they think it should be. I think this is okay at 150 evasion, and it loses 75% every time. 75% of the value every time, not a flat 75%. That means the first 2 attacks have first one guaranteed, second has a decent chance of being evaded. Beyond that, it's not a lot, and it will only last for 5 seconds. So I think this is a move in the right direction. I know some people want a lot stronger nerfs, but I like the idea of an item that has value and then no longer has value until you die or get a kill. Kind of like a risk-reward type thing. So maybe it needs more adjustment, but I think it's moving in the right direction. Most of these others are pretty small changes. If you get into some late games, just keep in mind, if the Helm of the Undying procs, you can't do building damage, which I think is fair, because that'd be like 6 seconds, that's the buff, to just not be stopped while hitting buildings. There's no counterplay besides like Fortify and Crimson Guard, and that sucks. So I think that is a good change. Everything else is relatively minor. Moving on to hero changes. So we're going to skip over the real small stuff, like Abaddon's nerf is pretty whatever. Axe. So the mana increase on Axe, sure. Culling Blade giving armor on kills is nice. Blade Mail nerf is the biggest thing to hit Axe. However, I think of any offlaner to not care about losing passive farming speed on Blade Mail, it's Axe who farms with counter Helix and just walks to the next jungle camp and the next creep wave anyway, so it's like it's barely any lost time to him. So I just think Axe will still be really good. At the pro scene, maybe some drop. But for pubs, if you're an offlane player, I think Axe will still be perfectly fine. And you still get a lot of value from the active component of Blade Mail. Bat Rider, he is one of the most popular supports at the pro scene. You don't really see him in pub Dota. He is being nerfed. Some damage, some flame break, radius. I think those are fair. I think what's kind of brought Bat Rider back into the meta is not only the new facets have been working out for him and the flex to being a core, but then you used to drop off over time. Like, okay, I got my fast blink, active gameplay. Oh, but now they have Lincolns, they have Lotuses, they have ways to counter me, strong dispels. Now I kind of drop off. Unless I now buy an Aghanim's and I hit 2 heroes, because the Aghanim's extra catch range got bigger and made it way easier to use to consistently grab 2 heroes, and that did not get touched. So I still expect to see Bat Rider pretty contested at Pro Dota. Maybe he won't be that first phase ban territory, but as it looks like a good Bat Rider game, I think we'll still see him. This stuff is pretty small. Dark Willow, I am surprised did not get a more direct nerf. Allies can no longer target her, which for pub games, you weren't being saved by your teammates anyways in many cases. But at the pro level, Shadow Realm is your way to get out, and then you get a little bit of help. unless you don't anymore. So we might actually see Dark Willows die a bit more often in the early game once the Shadow Realm ends. So this could be pretty impactful if that's the case, but I'm having a hard time seeing if that's, just off of this. We're going to have to go play games and see how much that ends up mattering. But for pubs, I kind of think it'll be fine, and she's still going to be great position 4 and position 5 if you really want to. Dawnbreaker, arguably the best offlaner of the patch, at least at the pro level, and in pubs, I think fantastic. Very light nerfs, in my opinion. Very light nerfs for a hero that is so strong. The Blade Mail was a big component of it, but I think you could just go Echo Saber instead if it's not a good Blade Mail game. But if it is a good Blade Mail game, like say there's a Leshrac on the enemy team, I still think you just get the Blade Mail. I still think she's going to be a great hero. So if you went out of your way to learn Dawnbreaker, fortunately for you, still looking good to me. So expect to see a lot of Dawnbreakers. Dazzle, I feel Dazzle got hit with a heavier nerf at 15 more mana per Shadow Wave. And I don't think he's as good as Dawnbreaker. Now, with that said, I did take a little bit of a break. I was kind of bored of the last patch. I am back now as we run into the TI season. So I kind of miss Dazzle getting into the meta and becoming really popular. So maybe I just don't fully appreciate how good he was. But from the games I was still casting, even while taking a break from playing, I think he was good. Still don't think he was better than Dawnbreaker. And I personally, the mana issues of a low cooldown spell, this will really add up, especially for support Dazzle. For pubs, you'll get away with it, I think, but at the pro level, he might drop down a bit. Doom, I am surprised that Doom did not, you're going to hear me say this a lot, surprised Doom didn't get hit with a bigger nerf, but I do think the current iteration of Doom it's good. It's not as broken as it used to be, so, fair. For offlane Doom, Devour being gone, or not gone, that would be a big change. Being a little worse. 5 less gold at level 1, 20 at max level. It's a reasonable nerf. I still think he does what he needs to do. Carry Doom, which I think is part of the reason Doom became so popular at the pro meta, still seems pretty good. You don't even take Devour till like level 4, and then frequently you max Scorched Earth first, so you're not even getting more points into Devour later. Over the course of like a 40-minute game, you're losing like 500 to 1,000 gold, maybe, which, sounds like a lot when I put it like that, but for a hero that buys Midas and then sells the Midas to get a Radiance to then buy another Midas and then uses the Midas throughout the, is it that much money? Is it really? So I don't think that's going to stop Doom from dooming things, and expect to see a lot. 6 minimum base damage on Earth Spirit, so his threshold's going up. Encouraging for core Earth Spirit. I'm not really a believer in support Earth Spirit coming back off of this, but maybe how many inconsequential tiny buffs can he get before he does become a position 4 again? Ember Spirit, 15 more mana on Searing Change. Chain Gang is kind of the way you play mid Ember now, and the Blade Mail nerf to him also a bit painful, so he might drop down a little bit, but I still think he seems solid. The thing is like these S tier heroes are getting decent nerfs, but that just brings them to like S tier to A to B tier, right? And that's what a lot of these nerfs are. So they're still good heroes, just maybe not ultra broken, but they, technically everyone gets hurt by the Blade Mail nerf, so you might still be the best of the nerfed heroes. Enchantress is a small change. I can't believe they're not bringing back the leash on Time Zone. 5 seconds off Chronosphere. Based on the item changes, if the pace of the game slows down, heroes like Faceless Void gain more value. At Pub Dota, it's never really mattered. For Pro Dota, it's been very fast-paced. That's why Illusion heroes and slow teamfight heroes like Faceless just didn't have the tempo to keep up. So if the game slows down, it's good for them, but I feel like a big reason the game sped up is because of Tormentor and like the Roshans, stuff like that, and those are still in the game, so I'm not a huge believer in this, but TI season is coming around, and usually the big teamfight ults come out at that time, so I'm sure we'll see at least a couple carry Faceless Voids. Grimstroke, I think this looks good if you play with any duos, just because it's kind of annoying doing this in Pub Dota, but I might try just because I like Grimstroke. 6 seconds off Phantom's Embrace, which is often at a 1 value point, or at least until you get like 3 points in it, which doesn't happen until later. So in that time, 6 seconds lower cooldown is pretty nice. And the Inkswell stun at level 1 is going to go up by 0.3 seconds, which is quite a lot for a level 1 stun. So I think a combination of this should allow you to get some earlier kills, more aggression going to get your game going. which might bring Grimstroke back. IO, you probably won't see this hero in pubs, but at the pro level, if you like seeing IO games, the issue is Dawnbreaker and Natures are just better global heroes to take early, and then you don't want too many global heroes in a game because there's not enough. Funny enough, the map's bigger, that's why you want global heroes, but there's only so much space. You can't have that many global heroes, and to me, that's the bigger issue with IO. So if Dawnbreaker and Natures drop out based on their nerfs, you might see more IO at pro level. I don't think he's amazing, but you know some teams really like IO, but you don't like him enough to pick him over something like Dawnbreaker and Natures if they're available. Small nerf to Kunkka. Luna has a build with the Aghanims. It's like Mask of Madness, Manta, Ags, BKB, with the buff to the cooldown and then a buff to the mini stun. Might look good. Might look good. This one's kind of minor, and this one's kind of minor. I still think he'll be very popular mid. The Naga Siren support that has been very popular at Pro Dota is being nerfed here a bit. Song Rage is getting real teeny tiny. Tidebringer is larger than Song of the Siren now. But it is still a really good combo breaker. So I think if heroes like Axe and Dawnbreaker are still popular, like Naga's amazing. If Shadow Fiend remains relevant, great setup or response to Requiem. And that's kind of the value of Naga. Although, with that said, 1 second off the slow is a pretty big deal. Song getting smaller and smaller, making it harder to be a combo breaker in the early game with like your 3-minute cooldown practically. So if she loses the value of being that ultimate team fight decision maker, whether you are committing or you are getting out, as long as she has that, she will remain good. But with these nerfs, it's getting harder and harder to justify that. Natures. Not as big as of a nerf for such a popular hero. His win rate in pubs is lower than 50, but the pro scene, he is still highly valued. Heavy nerf to his healing. So I don't think we're going to see him as much in the very first phase, but I think once you see some of the enemy picks, and you're like, okay, it's not the worst lane in the world. We can get away with the weaker laning stage of Nature's Prophet, still get his teleport value. I think that's when you're going to see it. Core Natures, I think, won't care as much about this. But again, the pros know, thanks to the drafting, when they're going to run one or the other. That's a lot of the value for it. For pubs, I still think the teleport's going to be good. But actually, yeah, that's all I got to say on that. The laning stage is often bypassed in pubs. And so this won't be as big of a deal. Necrophos is a small change. Nyx, surprisingly small change for a hero that I don't think is great. Though for pubs, Invis Assassin's always good. Pango's small change. PA's is a small change. The bigger issue for PA is like so many people are building Blade Mail. If that drops off, maybe she gets a little better. But I still think her abilities since the rework are in a bit of a wacky spot. And that's why she's not been that popular. I can't believe Puck didn't get a bigger nerf. Puck's items barely got touched as well, like 1 armor off, which in combination with losing some agility, like, okay, I guess. But Puck is such a stable mid laner. Although they're supposed to be counter picks, it feels like Puck with the Puckish, and people have learned to use Curveball. They're getting so much regen in the laning stage. It's ridiculous. Puck is coming out even bad matchups, which is going to continue because there's not really a nerf here. And Queen of Pain, I don't feel this is a huge nerf. Maybe I'm misunderstanding this. I know it'll reduce the healing in certain cases. You have to be closer to enemy heroes to get the max lifesteal. And of course, the Blade Mail got nerfed, which is an item she loved. But it's not for such a prevalent mid hero. I thought it would be a bigger nerf. This Sand King change doesn't seem like enough to bring him back in, but it is in the right direction. I think Shadow Demon is already pretty decent. I know he's not a popular hero, but if you ever thought about learning Shadow Demon, he's one that I'm going to start learning again, just because I'm kind of bored of my old, how many years can we play Nature's Prophet in a row? I love the hero, but we got to mix it up. I'm going to start playing Shadow Demon because I think he's pretty good. And it's not in here, but Pugna didn't get nerfed or buffed, and I think he's sleeper good. Some pro teams are trying to pick him more, and I think you guys should be in your pubs as well. I think that hero is crazy, and I'm going to be playing more of him. Shadow Fiend, small nerf. You see him as spellcaster mid or classic carry position. Shadow Fiend with a right click. This will hurt both of those a little bit, but I still think it's doable. Shadow Shaman, also not as big of a nerf as I thought, especially because a lot of you are not using it for Roshan. So for pubs, what does this even matter? Though for Pro Dota, it will be a big deal. And then base attack time going up means that the wards attack slower, which means your damage output is a little bit lower. However, it's not that crazy, 1.5 to 1.6. And he still has like chicken fingers if you want to do that fast. He still has his innate, still has a lot of lockdown. I still think he's going to be a great hero for pubs. Silencer got nerfed. His win rate's really good in pubs, so I guess it's a pub related nerf. But for Pro Dota, he's not in a great spot except for like Dawnbreaker Dazzle. And even then, he doesn't always look that great. Skywrath, I'm going to try Skywrath a little bit more. Blade Mail was a bit of a pain for him. So many tanky offlaners, tanky heroes building Blade Mail was not a fun time for Skywrath Mage. So if that does go down in popularity, then Skywrath goes up. Especially the Shard looks kind of nice. I got to go try it in a game. Some people were saying it was good, but man of science, I got to try it myself. Snapfire, some cooldowns on Cookie and Mortimer's Kiss, extra duration in combination with that 10 talent change he had in a previous patch. Maybe getting there. I think if you want to run it, of course you can, but compared to some of the other supports, like for example, Snapfire or Shadow Shaman, I mean, Shadow Shaman just seems more consistent. Even with these nerfs and with these buffs, I still favor Shadow Shaman over Snapfire. So it's not that she's bad, it just feels like there's better supports. Spirit Breaker, I'm going to try him. 3 more base damage, so slightly better laning. That might be better for core offlane Spirit Breaker than support Spirit Breaker, but the stuns are always needed in pub games. And I just feel like playing him. I don't know if he's actually going to be good. I think I just want to. Nice buff for techies, though. I don't think it... Well, Blade Mail's a little annoying for him, but not the worst. I actually think techies is better than people give him credit for. I know that's... I know a lot of people hate techies, but this buff aside, I do think he's decent in pubs. TA, she's been very popular, very strong. She's been getting nerfed patch after patch after patch, and it just hasn't been enough. So this time, very strange way to put it, but both her minimum and maximum damage are being adjusted a little bit, which means her total damage output is being changed to be a little bit worse. And then the 25 talent, which she frequently gets to because of how fast she farms, and the tempo of this hero is being nerfed. Doesn't really feel like enough to me, but at some point, something's got to break the camel's back, so maybe eventually she'll drop out of the meta. Tinker, what a meme change here. Keen Conveyance going from 80 seconds to 50 seconds. This will mean absolutely nothing besides Valve's sense of humor. Treant Protector, I really want to get back to playing him, but this change just is not convincing me. It's 10 more damage. That's like 30 more damage at your level 1 ult, which is like, it's not nothing, but it's still not a lot. So, I don't know. Don't love it. Undying, really good as both a support and an offlaner. For support, I think this will be fine, especially, well, here's the tricky thing. For pros, they get the draft, so if you know a strength offlaner's coming out, you can get Undying and it's still going to be good. For pubs, you just have to pick the Undying and you don't know your matchup. If it's a bad matchup, then it's not going to feel great. If it's a good matchup, then Undying support, in my opinion, will still be fine. Offlane Undying is going to suffer a little bit more from these nerfs, in particular, this decay damage hurting your farming speed as the offlane Undying, and you buy Blade Mail, which support Undying doesn't really do. So those combination of nerfs hurt offlane Undying, though for pubs, it's probably still okay. But support Undying players, I think you guys are fine. Ursa, bit of a nerf here. Venge, small buff. I don't think it'll be that massive. Viper is not the buff I thought he would get. I don't feel like it doesn't seem that great to me. Maybe I'm misunderstanding this. Yeah, it's just not the direction I thought he would be buffed. I guess it'll help his farming speed a little bit because the minimum DPS will just start higher. Wraith King slow, it really is quite long, so it's being brought down to 4 seconds. He's still a very popular pub hero and will remain so. And then Zeus, pretty nice buff here. 300 to 375 at level 1. So you pretty much had the level 2 distance at level 1 now, which helps a lot with those early escapes or early chases for aggressive kills. For core Zeus, I don't really know if this will bring back mid Zeus. Support Zeus players. For Pro Dota, probably not. But for pubs, if you want to do it, this will certainly be a nice benefit to the laning stage. I know people are going to ask, but I don't know the best heroes to play quite yet. Even though it's a smaller patch, you never fully know. But my impressions, this is the 7.39C tier list I made a while back. I would shift things around, like maybe move Batrider down as a position 5, maybe move Bane up. And you'll notice Bane didn't get touched in this patch, neither did Phoenix, Warlock, Tusk. I think all of these guys are still going to be pretty good for the tier 4. Most of these got touched. Again, Tusk is fine. Bane position 4, I've been seeing more and more. I'm actually pretty convinced it's quite solid if you know what you're doing. I think it's tricky to run, and a lot of teammates are going to mess things up with Sleepwalk, but I've been seeing some pretty good performances by a couple different pro players, and I'm kind of sold on position 4 Bane being in a decent spot, get a solid Aghanims timing, and it is just like really useful. I also think, again, Pugna, I thought he was sleeper good. I still had him low down, but I'm being convinced more and more this hero is quite strong, and with, you know, some nerfs to these guys and this guy going in touch, maybe he's become an S tier. So keep an eye out on that. But besides that, some of these others, you know, I'll move them around as time goes on. We see a little bit more info. All right, that's it for this one. Thank you for watching. I know I took a break. The YouTube channel was real empty, but we are back with the patch. Going into TI, going to try to ramp things up, starting with some mid-game to late-game decision-making. So for those of you that have made it to the end of the patch video, you get more say in the videos coming. Let me know if there are videos you want to see, and if you have any particular questions about the mid to late-game decision-making so that I can try to address those in the video, or if there's anything in the patch you think I didn't miss, that I didn't see and I missed, then please let me know and let others know what you think is good. With that, I'll see you in a future video that will not be a month away. Bye!